Uy, panoorin mo, ang ganda ng Justice League. Talaga ba? Paano mo napanood? Wala pa siya sa Pinas, ah. Basta, maganda daw. Ewan ko, nabasa ko lang. Grabe, gusto ko na makapanood yung Wonder Woman, kaya lang di pa available. Gusto mo ba? Teka lang. Oh, ano to sinend mo? This week, let's talk about pirates, Pinoy pride, movies, and Special Agent John. We all can relate to this. This open secret, this guilty pleasure, and conflicting feeling. What am I talking about? It is the illegal downloading, streaming, distribution of files for music, TV series, and movies. Piracy. Let's call it for what it is, a crime. I completely know this because I have a friend who does it. Let's call this friend Andy Vesorio. Andy Vesorio. Not P, but this online friend of mine that I met in the internet, di naman kami close, he shares the conflicting feeling that comes along with this phenomenon and how people tend to make irrational decisions for it. Phenomenon because it really is happening big time. Pirated video material gets over 230 billion views a year. More than 80% of online piracy can be attributed to illegal streaming services. And here sa Philippines, hindi tayo papatalo. Pinoy Pride! About 49% of Filipino access piracy sites, so ibig sabihin kalahati sa atin. According to a YouGov survey na ginawa noong September 2020, the highest level of incidence, well, nasa age bracket lang naman ng mga 25 to 34 years old. But why do people do this? Well, there are a lot of factors to consider. Uy, nakita ko post mo, napanood mo na yung bagong season. Shit, nakaka-excite. Oo, ang ganda. Sobrang sulit ng subscription, yung 250 pesos a month. Sobrang sulit. Avail ka na. Ay, sabi ng friend ko, pangit daw, pangit reviews. Ayoko, huwag na lang. Pinaka-obvious, it's very cost-efficient. Imagine if you want to watch Stranger Things, WandaVision, Ted Lasso, Westworld, The Boys, you have to subscribe to 5 streaming platforms and pay for 5 different fees. So it seems like a very wise economic decision. But let's delve on the economics part later. Next one is probably the most convenient excuse people use. Fuck capitalism! Ayoko nga magbayad. This is my protest against the establishment. Milyong-milyong pera na nakukuha nila, di man lang sinishare sa mga tao. Di naman nila mararamdaman yung simpleng download. We justify piracy because we feel it's unfair to pay for all of this. And besides, they're all big media corporations raking over billions of dollars. They can be alright with this little thing. But the question is, are they really okay with this? And who is this day that you are referring to? And the third reason, everybody does it naman ah. Ano masama? Kahit nga yung friend ko, si Andy, he watches streams. So why not? And the fourth one is the most obvious reason. It's very convenient. It's accessible, especially in the digital age. In one click of a finger, you don't have to go through the application or subscription processing on these streaming platforms. It's as convenient as going to certain websites or having a friend drop the file to you. It is because of this accessibility where issues of legality comes in. People do this because people can. There are no stringent laws to serve as deterrents. In one study that I saw, Canada, Hong Kong, and Spain, they have very lax laws against online piracy, and this results to them becoming one of the countries with the highest consumption of pirated material. While in Japan, Germany, and Great Britain, they have more stringent laws against these kinds of crimes, and doon nagkakaroon ng positive effect on this goal. Napakababa ng rate of illegal downloads sa mga bansa na yun. But generally speaking, piracy happens across all countries. That's because the internet world is just freaking difficult to regulate. In fact, Pirate Bay, which allows peer-to-peer file sharing, at sa tingin ko isa sa mga pinaka-popular na websites na may mga ganito, encountered multiple shutdowns already. And although the rate of piracy plummets down tuwing sinasara sila, it will eventually rise months later kasi may lalabas na bagong version ng Pirate Bay under a different domain or may mga alternative websites na laging sumusulpot. And in the Philippines, we do have some laws in place making these acts illegal, punishing Filipinos for buying bootlegs or downloading videos, music, and other copyrighted files. But even the Optical Media Board admits na mahirap ma-monitor to because there is a loophole in the current laws that we have. The mandate of that agency is to go after people guilty for the proliferation of pirated materials, but there must be a physical storage device involved. So tulad ng mga CD, DVDs, or flash drives, or even cloud storages. Clearly, bawal na bawal yun. But the problem lies if the pirated material happens through sharing of links or illegally watching movies through online platforms. So, mahirap ma-monitor yung consumption side, especially in the online world because authorities have limitation on how they're going to do that. That's why meron ngayong pending bill sa Senate, the Philippine Online Infringement Act, which gives power to the National Telecommunication Commission to cancel the license of internet service providers na inaalaw sa network nila yung mga websites na nag-host or nag-infringe ng mga copyrighted materials, and thus it reaches to the customers. So this somehow explains why there is a high incidence of piracy in the Philippines dahil kulang ng ngipin yung mga batas natin. Now, I don't want this to be too technical and be totally about legal side of things. I'm not an expert on that. That's not what my channel is all about. But if you revisit the sketches I showed earlier, it's all about the awkward conversations we have when we're dealing with this hot topic on how exactly do we as a society navigate on this, given na on the present time, the laws are not in place. Actually, in one podcast that I listened to, whenever they do a deep dive on the movies they've seen, and probably through a questionable source, they kind of start walking on eggshells and start flagging this made-up character called Special Agent John because it feels wrong to talk about it, but it's very rampant.
I haven't watched it. It is on Netflix, so no Special Agent John necessary.
Goodbye.
Have you ever imagined how Special Agent John probably looks like?
Punta nga, nag-i-imagine sila ng characters para makaiwas ng gulo. What a weird thing. Kasi naman, theoretically, it has the universal concept of stealing on it. Gets natin yon. Pero nawawala kasi yung physical na aspeto na may isang bagay na kinukuha. How do we make it real in the digital context? Okay, fine. We can lie to ourselves thinking na harmless naman yung mga torrents ng downloads or streams na yan. And the big video corporations or producers would not even feel a dent of this because they are filthy rich. But for real figures, the digital video piracy is costing the US economy, the home of Hollywood, between $29.2 and $71 billion each year. At kasama sa mga nananakawan are all people behind those movies. Artists, writers, the cameraman, the crew, and even down to small-time workers. They are being robbed of potential revenues had the movies been consumed legally. And now let's go to the crux of the discussion about rational decisions between economics man or Homo economicus and an actual human being with all its morals and complexities. If it's just a purely economic decision, kung gusto mo makatipid that we should always go for streaming and torrents all the time kasi wala ka namang mabayaran, then don't pay when it can be accessed for free. It's right there. But in behavioral economics, it factors in feelings, morals, advocacies, and empathy to influence our decision. Most likely, you feel strongly on watching local Pinoy movies in legal ways, lalo na pag indie film yan, because we care and support for our fellow Filipinos. And somehow, siguro nababawasan yung sense of relatability for Hollywood films because of the distance and it's such a foreign concept. But despite that, illegal streaming and downloading does not make it right. It's difficult to be human because we deal with temptations and we always want to make things free for our own self-interest. But we have to balance it out with our moral and with what's good for society at large. And you know what? My online friend Andy Vesorio is no hypocrite. Despite being a strong advocate of supporting local films, saying no to pirated copies para maiwasan matapakan ng mga kamatis, he has watched streamed or torrents of Hollywood films. But honestly, he said, he would be perfectly fine once ISPs eradicate these illegal streaming platforms. Mararamdaman niyang sayang as an initial human reaction, but eventually once it's been normalized, we all know that it's for the best. Our issues with the abuses of the capitalists can be dealt with separately. Choosing the right thing to do is sometimes a struggle for us humans, but it being difficult doesn't mean it's impossible. And of course, laws and guidelines should be in place to make it easier for us to do the right thing. This is Andrew Beso sharing my thoughts on social issues and on how we can do better. This video entails a lot of writing and research, and I do this solo. I'm a one-man team. So you liking and subscribing is a digital way of saying thank you and job well done. If this is your first time watching my content, then hintay mo lang sa dulo. Meron ako recommended videos that is highly related to this content. It has shared context na pwede mo mas ma-appreciate once you click on those other videos. Or if this is your second or third time watching my videos and you're not subscribed yet, why? What's stopping you? Come on, show me some love and hit that red button there. This is the sign for you to subscribe now. So everybody help this content creator reach more people. But unlike those questionable websites, my videos, my blog posts are completely free and legal to share. Bye everyone.